Hello gents, this is Hassan. You can call me Cortex. I would like to show you a project I'm working on, and today it's an interior animation project, and I got to animate fishes in an aquarium, and I would like to show you how I did it. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to the end result. Probably I should take you through this scene a bit. That's the aquarium. It's in a living room setting, and here is the camera that I animated to get the result. You can see the bits and pieces of the aquarium, and here is a quick play. Here is a quick play of what the video looks like. You can see the fish is moving and the water bubbles and everything in the aquarium. So to have a quick one, here is our aquarium model isolated in a scene. That's the entire thing. It's made up of different components. We have a glass. Okay, here's the glass, and here is the water. Now we're left with the foliage and the rock bed, which we can also freeze so that we don't have interference in our scenes. We have the foliage, which I'm not sure we're going to touch. So basically I expect you to be able to populate an aquarium scene like this with fishes, and I'll quickly show you how I made the bubbles. Okay, this is a quick look at the bubbles. Basically I made a sphere. Basically I just made a sphere, and I converted it to an editable poly so that I can access the sub-object menu, and then okay, sorry. Oh, okay, I made a mistake there. Convert to editable. I needed to convert it to editable poly. Okay, so I have my sub-object menu now, and I can make an instance where I can scale it down and move it in a different direction, so that we have our bubble, you know, all not looking very similar, so that we have them in the similar planes and we can scale them up just like that. So basically that was the trick behind having these bubbles, and I created similar ones. You can see them. Yeah, you can see them here. Okay, so and our bedrock is just a simple rectangle, and the bottom, the aquarium base too, is a simple rectangle. So let's quickly have a look at how we're gonna animate the fishes in the aquarium. For the rotor, it's a very simple one. All we have to do is make sure that we have the working pivot in the center, so that when we rotate it, it rotates from the center. So that's a very basic one for animation. You can use your set key and give it a keyframe at this point, and move your time slider a little bit and rotate it, and set your key so that you have it rotate when you scrub through your time slider. And at this point you can have it rotated this way too. Yeah, then uncheck your set key, and that's your wheel rotating. So because you have to rotate in the direction where the bubbles are moving, you have to make sure that you're making it, you know, clockwise direction, so that these bubbles can move up in the direction. That's how an aquarium works really, and we're inspired by one here in the office. Okay, so now looking at these fishes, the first thing we're going to do is to create, you know, the way fishes move. They move in random motions, even though in this kind of environment they're a bit slow. So we're going to be gentle with the animation. The first thing we have to create is a line on which we'll animate the fishes. So here is a quick one. This right view of the aquarium. The first thing we can do is create a path. Create a path for the fishes to move. Okay, so now having our path, we may have to on hide all. Let me move this to 0. Okay. Okay, let's just move our path here. So we can hide the glass, hide the water, and okay, this is what we got. So having our path here, but we have this right now on a single plane. So what we want to do is we want to make a fish move in different directions. So the first thing we have to do is modify the paths to have this kind of sinusoidal movement of fishes, because usually they don't move in straight lines. So we have our paths edited. We have a fish making a turn at this end of the aquarium. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, okay, so we have a little bit of dynamic path right there, and we can actually animate any of these fishes. We can assign them to this path. So we can start with this guy here. Make sure you have your time slider back at the inception of your animation, and then while selecting the fish, you can go to animation constraints and click a path constraint. Now what you have to select is the line that you just created. So automatically it puts the fish at the beginning of the path, and then assigns it all through the path and to the end of the path. Now you can notice something weird about our fish's movement. It seems to simply glide along the path, right? So okay, in order to correct this, what we just have to do is very simple. If you go to your motion tab and you scroll down a bit, you see some of these parameters which you can modify and tell 3dsmax to align the fish to the path. So if you simply click follow, you can see that the fish's orientation has changed a bit. It's simply following the path, but now on its side. So we need to ensure that it's moving in the right direction by clicking the axis Y. Now this axis is dependent on the object axis itself, so it's very important that you take note of this. So now it's simple. We have our fish moving right along the path where we want it to move. So another thing you have to be sure of is you don't want your fish to be colliding with any element in the scene, so you can still adjust your path if you find out that the fish is going to collide with something. So you can still adjust the path, and that makes it very easy. It's very flexible, and you can have your animation, you know, okay, and it's not broken at all. You can do the same for these other fishes. If you're going to create a new line, like a new path, take your time slider back to 0, and then be sure that you're in a kind of view like this. So you can start your path from here and bring your fish down and down this way. You can adjust your path. Be sure that it's something you really want to handle. A simple path is good, and it just makes your work easier. So okay, here we go. Yeah, so now we need to move our path back to where our aquarium is, which is somewhere very far away from the center point of the scene. That easy. We can still modify the paths to have a sort of a three-dimensional movement in the scene. Okay, so we don't have your fish moving in just one direction. It has to be a little bit more dynamic. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so that does it. Let's find one of these fishes so that we can assign it to the path. Okay, you may want to rotate your fish to something like this so that we have it to move along this part of the aquarium. Now there's one thing you don't have to miss out. You have to make sure that your working pivot on the fish is centralized on the fish. If not, you're going to have very terrible results. So let's edit the working pivot. Affect object only, affect pivot only, and then let's center it to the object, which you have it there. So your working pivot is good. Now you can put your fish back somewhere in the aquarium. Okay, so there goes a little fish. I'm still not a bit comfortable with this line. I might have to move this down a bit. Yeah, something this gentle. Okay, so here goes a little fishy. Okay, then we go to animation, constraints, and click a path constraint and push it on your path. So right now our dear little fish is on our path. Okay, now just like we did for the other fish, we need to check under your motion tab. You need to check if your fish is following the path, and now you see it's on its side, so we just do the same thing for it. But unfortunately our fish is our fish is in reverse, and one other thing, it's colliding with this because our path actually runs through there. So what you're going to do is just click flip, and then a fish is flipping on the other side, and there it goes, and there it goes, and there it goes through the spinner. So what we're just going to do is select the path where we have the fish on, and modify the vertices such that we have it bypassing that, and not too much that it doesn't come out of the aquarium. Okay, and we can modify the end part of a line to go that way, so you ensure that there are no collisions anywhere in the scene, and make sure they're going gentle enough. So if you play, okay, you may have to adjust this a bit to slow down the speed. 500. You slow down the speed here. It's either of the two. So let's see what this gives us. Okay, now this is more gentle. This is more gentle, and this is more like it. Now you may want to add some detail to your fishes, as we have here. This fish, you might want it to wriggle a little bit as it moves along the path. So what you have to do is add a noise modifier. We have noise somewhere, somewhere around here, and you can shake it up a little bit. Okay, still not much. Fractal. Let's see this, and then animate noise. 12 2. Okay, you can see that your fish, okay, probably we will notice it somewhere on one of these fishes, you know, to have this wriggling effect while the fish goes through the water. Yeah, you might want to have something like that so that it's not all smooth. So okay, basically that's it. And then the same thing goes for the bubble. If you're going to animate the bubbles, all you have to do is mark them up. You could sync this a bit, and be sure that you have your set key on. Then you set the primary key at 0, and you move your time slider forward a bit, and relative to the speed of this spinner you move it up a bit so that you have your bubbles rising, and then that's it. It's that simple. 2 positions and bubbles always rise up in many cases. Okay, so that's about a bubble, and then you do the same for the other bubbles. Is there anything I skipped? I'm pretty not sure, so let me take you through the completed scene again. Okay, this is what we have. You can see all the fishes are animated now, and they're moving gently through that scene. Okay, now there is something I didn't tell you, and that's about rendering the bubbles. You know, because you're likely going to be applying the same material to the bubble and the water, you may want to make and because there's a lot of refraction on the water, this is likely going to be your level of refraction of the water. So there was a trick I used. So what I simply did was just make sure that your object is a little bit translucent, so you have maybe 0.5 visibility in your render, and then you create a material such that it is not so refractive. At the same time, it's not so refractive. Had some little bit of reflect, and be sure that your object is about 0.5 visible, so that it gives it that translucent feeling. So if you scroll through your time slider now, this is what you're going to get, something like that. And that's the camera animated, and that's the fishes, and you can see the parts that they're moving along. And in your rendering, it's just plain and easy and simple, playful fishes. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope to make many more of these tutorials sometime soon. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.